this is Stephen and Jennifer with IO Backyard Farmer. Last year we grew about 300 varieties in our garden, and we wanted to bring you the top, I don't know, 10, 20-ish.
Whatever we feel like.
You know,
the standouts.
The real standouts from this last year. So starting at the top, what was the first thing that jumps out to you?
Well, first I have to say we're a little hardened because we grow so many things. And so it takes a lot to impress us because we've seen a lot of good things. And this year we had some surprises. And my first surprise was Rosella cherry. We'd made a video on cherry tomatoes that we were growing, and somebody said, oh, you don't have this one. And I was like, oh, but I will. And we grew it. And it was fantastic.
That was a really, really good recommendation. Rosella is bred by
Gourmet Genetics.
Gourmet Genetics, which really focuses on flavor and just texture and just all the things that you enjoy about it.
Experience. That we grew, I don't know, what did we have, 40 cherry tomatoes?
Yeah.
And of the 40 cherry tomatoes that we grew, that one had standalone flavor.
If I could only grow one, I would definitely grow that one. Just the flavor was absolutely amazing, sweet, but not like overly sweet.
It had kind of a really fruity, I mean, all the undertones of fruit. The color was really pretty. There's a hint of smokiness because it's got that darker purpler color.
Yeah, somebody had said that it has kind of a raspberry or blackberry undertone. And so if you've not tried that for a tomato, that was one I would definitely recommend and to try it again.
Yeah, and we liked it enough that we're trialing several more of that line this year because I'm like, well, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
so,
the company that developed it is in England, and I think this is the first time we've grown something specifically bred in England. But it sounds like other things that they've developed are really tasty as well. So we're trialing some of those others this year too.
What was one of the standout cherry? I know we had so many in that cherry grape tomato. You had a favorite. What was your favorite?
So raspberry drop was by far my most favorite of the grape tomatoes. A little bit of a pink one. But the flavor was a little bigger. Yeah, a little bit bigger, kind of a pointed end, but the flavor was delicious. And it's part of the cream of the crop series, so really good shelf life, really good disease resistance as well.
And they have a flavor first thing too. So the color is good. It was good. It was really good. So that one's actually going to go on our plant list. Both those will be on our plant list this year because we were like, wow, that was really good. And some that have already been on our plant list that Cream of the Crop does are like Tropical Sunset, which is our daughter's all-time favorite. That was her pick.
Yeah.
And
Sparky has been one of the ones that we've had for several years that has been really good
and
for us as well.
And that one for us is not necessarily, it's still a really good flavor, but that one
the plant health is
amazing,
and
really
it produces all season long really well.
Good. And we have one more Cream of the Crop one that I just loved last year. We had planted it later because I hadn't known to plant it earlier.
Yeah.
And in our late season tomato trials, Cream of the Crop Beefy Red was a standout for flavor, and that was really good.
Yeah. And it's hard to really break into our list of standout big red tomatoes just because there's so many of them. And they're all kind of like a big red tomato with, a unique flavor. But this one was, really stood out above the rest in terms of the flavor profile. But it was also unique because, I'm trying to remember, is it a determinate one?
It's a dwarf indeterminate. It's like a shorter.
It only grows 2 to 3 feet tall.
It's really
so it is certainly a smaller plant.
And it's not like huge tomatoes. They're like,
so
they're nice sized tomatoes.
Yeah, 12 to 14 ounces. I think where we had it maybe got a little bit of shade. So
and the stripes make it fun. So it's got stripes, and it wasn't overwhelming. The flavor was really good, and even my kids who were like, "I'm so tired of tomatoes," were like, "I will take another piece of this one." They really liked that one. Yeah, that was a really good one.
So what was next? Big Brandy. So we were probably most surprised out of all the big red tomatoes that we trialed from Big Brandy. So it is part of the Heirloom Marriage series.
Yeah, so you take the two, which two are in this one?
So Brandy Wine, which is the classic one that everybody's still trying to beat the flavor of it.
Yeah, we tried too.
And
then Dwarf.
Big Dwarf.
Big Dwarf. So you combine those two and you get Big Brandy, and we had like all the brandy wine comparisons this year, and it does not taste like brandy wine exactly, but it didn't taste worse. It was phenomenally flavored.
It was
really good.
It was really, really good. It has kind of a knobby look compared to some of the other tomatoes.
A little loby.
Yeah, a little loby. And I generally am not as big of a fan of that look, just because
I like it.
I like...
You like it, the uniformity.
I like the uniformity.
This one had a cool loby texture.
Really,
it looks like a nice heirloom.
Yeah.
Looks like but it didn't crack or do anything weird.
But the flavor was outstanding.
Yeah.
So not an exact brandy wine flavor, but it was outstanding, and everybody that we gave it to was really impressed with that one.
Yeah. So we're growing that one again this year. In our paste tomato trials, we tried a bunch of different paste tomatoes. We have had everything from the classic Roma and San Marzano to some newer ones. My two favorites from this category are going to be Pozzano and Zenzie.
Yeah, so let's talk about Pozzano first. So that is a full indeterminate plant, can get really big. The intention for the breeder was to basically replace San Marzano, which is a classic heirloom that's been around for a long time, has amazing flavor.
It has blossom end rot issues.
But it has blossom end rot issues by the end of the season. And we grew San Marzano and Pozzano right next to each other in the garden. And
Pozzano's bigger. It yielded like twice as much.
At least.
And it didn't have any blossom end rot, and they're growing in the exact same spot. And the flavor wasn't bad.
I'd say the flavor when you eat them fresh, between Pozzano and San Marzano, I would pick, just for flavor purposes, the San Marzano. It's a little bit better flavor, but when you cook them, I don't think you can tell a difference.
Yeah, if you put it in a spaghetti sauce and you've got oregano or anything else in there,
yeah, so
it's fine, and you're gonna get a lot more sauce.
Yeah, a whole lot more
sauce.
And that was the last plants that we pulled out this year were the Pozzanos, because they kept producing.
Yeah,
to
between
the point
the
that
Pozzano and the Zenzie, which was an America,
an AAS
winner.
And it's what a dwarf indeterminate, so it only got about 5 feet tall, which compared to these others where we're growing 7, 8, 9 feet tall, it was a much more manageable size. We could put a 5-foot cage on it, and it held it very well. Production wise, I'd say it was certainly higher than San Marzano, probably not quite as high as Pozzano.
Pozzano, I think we got a little bit more, but I will tell you that every time I went out, I could pick a handful off of either of them, and I was totally happy.
Yeah.
Totally happy. The Zenzie are a little shorter than the Pozzano, a little rounder, but both of those, I was like, done. They're both coming back to my garden.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like the part about the Zenzie being a dwarf indeterminate is it didn't get too big and gangly, but it produced all season long, whereas most of the paste tomatoes are a determinate type, where you get a whole bunch. If you want a can, they're perfect, but you get a whole bunch in a relatively short period of time.
And then they're done. So
whereas,
and we'll do that in another video, the things that we're like, yeah, but it had a moment, but it might not be perfect for what we were doing. So yeah. And this in no way excludes all my other favorites. Stephen knows that it is very hard for me to pick favorites. Lots of lovely things. These are just our surprise standouts.
Just the surprise standouts for this last year.
Yeah, new to us, and we liked it.
So beyond tomatoes, what stuck out to you next?
Cucumbers. We've been working on pickling cucumbers, and you've kind of had a real quest on this one because we get the bacterial wilt that the cucumber beetles carry, and we'll have these lovely cucumbers, and then they just melt down and die overnight, and it's tragic. And so we went on this quest to find bacterial wilt resistant cucumbers, and then on top of that we learned that there was differences between your monoecious plants and your gynoecious and your parthenocarpic, and could you cover it? Do you need a pollinator? Does it have more female flowers so you get more fruit? And we were like, let's try them all. Yeah. And so we tried a bunch.
Yeah, and one of the first ones that really stood out to us was the Adam cucumber. So it's kind of a gherkin type, makes delicious pickles, but if you're used to the old big spine ones, it's different than that.
It has a different look to it, and you really are going to pick them short. So you really are like 3 inches tops. But for little whole pickles, they were perfect, and they were unstoppable.
Yeah,
they were
production-wise,
they were amazing
because they're gynoecious and
parthenocarpic.
Every flower basically turned into a cucumber, and without needing pollinators,
you could cover them if you wanted to keep
they took off and could be covered just fine. And so Adam was a real standout. What's the next one that was a standout?
I really liked, which, are we still doing picklers?
Sure.
Are we still, okay. I like, County Fair Improved, I've always liked because of the bacterial wilt resistance. We're going to try a new one just because I really like those. Yeah. So we're trying
Commonwealth. Is a new pickler that we're trying out. Did we try that one?
We didn't try that one. So we tried the slicer of that brand, and I was like, is that the Southwind?
Yeah. Southwind Slicer.
Southwind Slicer, fantastic.
Developed by Commonwealth Seeds, and Commonwealth has been focusing on a couple of different disease resistances, including the bacterial wilt resistance, which is our most common disease that we run into here. Whenever the cucumber beetles show up, the plants that are not resistant to that end up dying. So we're doing Southwind Slicer this year. I trialed that last year. It's one of our standouts because it just produced like crazy. And it didn't die because it's resistant to the bacterial wilt. And the flavor is really good for a fresh slicer. So
yeah, cucumbers all the way.
A win-win-win. The only downside to that is they don't have the fancy parthenocarpic. They're not gynoecious, and so they need to have other cucumber plants around them to make sure that they're pollinated. But in terms of production and surviving the pandemic of diseases that we can get, was really a standout.
That was really good. And I also liked in our trials Excelsior, because, and that's going back to your picklers.
Yeah.
The picklers, and that is like the Adam, it's the parthenocarpic, super high production cucumber for pickling, and it's got that more classic pickler look to it.
So it's a real blocky type, really dark green. You can it stands out compared to all the others who maybe will have a lighter green type of look. That one's really, really dark green.
That's gonna be a winner if you're like, I'm gonna compete in the state fair and I want pickles.
Hey, you want a lot of pickles? That's the one to go for.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one. So cucumbers and picolino.
Picolino. So on the snacking side, picolino is one that we had tried for the first time this last year.
And I have a lot of leftover seeds we tried like 6 or 7 different kind of little snacking ones. That is the one that did the best.
Yeah, that one performed the best, and again, it's gynoecious and parthenocarpic, so it just produced.
Yeah, and we have some others that we're going to try. The quest is never over here, but that was the standout from last year.
Yeah. So, enough on cucumbers. What's next?
Snacking peppers. We did a snacking pepper trial, and if you saw any of those videos, we had our green stock grew on the patio with all different types of snacking peppers, and we tried a couple different series. We've grown for a long time, the Lunchbox series, and then we tried Sweetie, and we tried the Fresh Bite series, and we tried the Delite series, and a couple of other ones that we've grown for a long time. And I was really impressed with the Delite series.
Yeah, so it's brand new, I think just released this last year. There's 3 that were released last year. 2 more came out this year, so we'll try all those ones as well. But in terms of being able to, potentially replace that Lunchbox series, they're a little bit bigger. So you got your Lunchbox
the Lunchbox reds are like this.
Yeah,
big. They're small.
They're not very big, but the Delite series is quite a bit bigger. I'd say 3-ish inches versus 2 or so. And flavor was really good. Production was really good.
Yeah, they were all around really good. If you wanted something a little smaller, like teeny tiny micro size, I mean, none of them tasted bad. The Fresh Bites one I really liked. The Little Sweetie series was really good, but for all around what we got out of it, I liked them better than our bells.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was like, I want a pepper, and there they are. And they tasted really good.
So
the only thing that they didn't beat was the candy cane red pepper.
Yeah.
Also,
so a brand new one that we tried this last year, candy cane red, and it was a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's pushing the limits of it.
Yeah, I'm like, is that a bell size, or is that
a little bigger?
Kind of like a mini bell, or it's still more of a snacker. But in terms of anytime I would just go outside and just grab something to snack on while I'm running up and down the stairs, I'd grab those candy canes.
They're a nice, sweet red pepper bell. Sweet, crunchy, red. Those are really good. I will do those again.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's got kind of a sister line, the chocolate cherry, that's coming along this year as well. We're gonna have that one as well.
We'll try that one too.
But candy cane red was really a standout for us.
So what else? What other categories did we do?
So in terms of what else we trialed last year that was a real standout is we were kind of on a quest to find the perfect paprika peppers. And we've made smoked paprika for several years now.
Yep.
And I've enjoyed a lot of different things, but I went online to Facebook and asked some of the market growers what they like to use for paprika peppers, and ended up with, was it like 26 different varieties that we trialed.
We did not even try them all. We will have to do 2.0 this year.
we had at least 20 of them.
We did a bunch.
But there was about 4 or 5 that were just real standouts. And while you can make smoked paprika out of any kind of pepper, highly recommend the ones that
well, we were surprised. So black Hungarian, which isn't technically a paprika pepper, but it was fantastic if you like a little spice in your paprika. The Utri
was really good. That was a milder one.
Kapia had no heat at all, but fantastic flavor.
Leutshauer was another really good one. And then the one that we always pronounce wrong, Kalocsa.
Yeah.
It's not Kalocsa, it's Kalocsa.
I'm working on it. But those were fantastic. Growing all of those again and trialing some more because and if all you've ever grown is a standard bell pepper,
and it makes okay.
It makes paprika. Okay. Yeah.
But these others were
these are so good.
Really, really a standout.
So
and
good.
While we were trialing those, we were sent some sample seeds of apple crisp, which I had thought would be a paprika pepper. Not great for paprika, but in terms of a little snacking pepper that is like
that was
super
fantastic.
Delicious.
Now that is the crunchiest pepper I have ever eaten. It looks dangerous. It has this kind of is it in the Bacadum family? And so it's got this really wild shape, and super crunchy. It can be a little bit hot. Don't eat the seeds; they can be a little bit bitter.
Yeah, if you avoid the seeds, it's generally sweet, but there can be just a little bit of a zing that goes with it.
But they were fantastic. I ate those every day when I went outside.
Yeah,
they're very productive. Grew really well. Not using them for paprika, but we'll eat them fresh all day long.
Absolutely. And in terms of other peppers, we trialed a bunch of jalapenos as well. What stuck out to you on the jalapeno side?
That we planted most of them in too much shade, but they were overcoming. There's not. I don't know. The standout for me was the ones that we planted in the shade and still produced better than I thought they were. The Jalafuego I really liked. It's a really good producer. It's a little spicier than the regular jalapeno.
It's pretty hot compared to the others. We did the taste trials and
Paquimé.
Some of them we got on video, some we didn't. But Jalafuego was one of the hotter ones, but super productive.
Yep.
And then one that we don't know how to pronounce.
The Paquimé.
Paquimé, something like that. If you know how to pronounce it, give us a call so we can figure it out.
And that one is going to be on the mild side. So we've got Goliath as a kind of standard, nice big jalapeno. Jalafuego is going to be a little hotter. Paquimé is going to be a little milder, but they were all solid, super producers, nice big jalapenos. Love those.
Yeah. So, and beyond peppers, just looking at our notes here, we trialed a couple different zucchinis and stuff this year just to see is there really that big of a difference. We've been happy with what we've had, but this year brought in and trialed golden glory zucchini, which is almost it's a darker yellow. It's almost an orange one.
Oh, not orange, but it's a nice dark gold.
It is. It's really pretty.
It was really pretty, and it really produced. We kind of planted it at the end of the season, and I was like, nothing's going to make it, but that one did. It started cranking them out. If we'd had a month more of season, we would have been afloat with golden zucchinis.
Yeah.
They were really good.
And kind of an open plant habit, and so you could see them really easily. I didn't notice any disease issues on them, and we had other plants right next to them that died. And so
had like one of, because that's what I do, like one of everything and enjoy them all. So we'll never narrow it down, but I'm glad we can share it with you. I did like that one. And another thing that was kind of a fun surprise, we had ordered from Johnny's their purple sweet potato slips, because I love purple sweet potatoes. You can make some fun things with that. You don't use them exactly like the orange sweet potatoes. I use them more for like sweet things. You can make like sweet potato pudding and some fun things like that. But we got them to grow. they actually produced here, and I was impressed.
Yeah, so we've grown a lot of different sweet potato varieties. Georgia Jet, Beauregard are probably our two most productive ones.
Up here, we're north.
Yeah, here in Iowa. But we have grown several that just were not productive in our environment. And so Purple Majesty wasn't, you know, the weight-wise in terms of harvest didn't match Georgia Jet. But it was certainly more productive than most of the ones that we have grown.
Yeah, because so many of them need a longer season or a warmer temperature than we have. And this one, I was really excited that we could get a nice harvest off of it. And we'll do that one again.
And if you haven't tried purple sweet potatoes, they're delicious.
Yes.
Really, really good.
Very good.
So, and beyond that, next up, we had just, we trialed a bunch of different Agastache, I don't know how you pronounce that one.
Pick your favorite.
Yeah, but trying to bring in some more of the pollinators into our garden, and we trialed several of them, but
I think we had like 9 different varieties. It smells fantastic.
They all smelled good, but apricot Sprite, man, I could just go out and eat that. That smelled so good.
Yeah. So we're doing that one again, and I'm like, I don't even care if we use it for anything. It just smells fantastic, along with my other favorite. So, and you may have grown this before, the Kapoor Holy Basil.
The descriptions when we were trying to pick out some additional basils, this one was, suddenly got a like fetish for basil and just all these kind of funny descriptions. But I understand where they're coming from.
That one smells fantastic.
Absolutely.
Grew beautifully. I just like to be near it in the garden. It smells so good.
Yeah. So that's all we wrote down out of like 300. We narrowed it down to 10-ish, 20-ish, however many that we had.
Yeah, we'll stop here because I like a lot of them.
Yeah. But I am curious, what were the outstanding varieties that you tested or trialed or planted in your garden? Every year's a trial, right?
Every year's a trial.
So what were the outstanding ones that you planted this last year? Put them down in the comments, and
we might give it a try, or somebody else might.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, bye-bye.